right, boys and girls, we're talking a little Tyreek Hill action. Today was a whirlwind of emotions for the New York Jets. There was rumors of Tyreek Hill possibly being shopped, and then we found out that the Jets and the Dolphins were in on Tyreek Hill. They were the two suitors left at the end. Tyreek Hill ends up going to the Miami Dolphins, division rivals, for a first, a second, a fourth, and then a 2023 fourth and sixth round pick. He receives a 4-year, $120 million contract. Now, $72 million of that is fully guaranteed at signing, and as of the first day of the league year in 2023, the rest of the contract is fully guaranteed. So basically, if you're saying, like, unless you think Miami is going on a 1-year, $72 million deal with Tyreek Hill, this is a fully guaranteed 4-year, $120 million deal. And from all accounts, the New York Jets were ready to match it or potentially beat it. The Jets offered both second-round picks and a third-round pick in order to go up and get Tyreek Hill. And Tyreek Hill decided to choose the Miami Dolphins. Now, the reason he was able to choose the Miami Dolphins is because he was able to negotiate the contract. So no team was going to trade for Tyreek Hill without that contract in place. So, look, there's a lot of things that are probably... people are going to feel one way or another. People are going to say Joe Douglas is falling asleep at the wheel. Some people are going to say, hey, good riddance. Tyreek Hill is a woman beater, confirmed. He choked out his pregnant wife, punched her in the stomach. I think he's a piece of shit, personally. I'm glad the Jets didn't get him. I'm a little concerned that we were in on it. But, hey, if the Jets were considered like an accepted trade as 2 seconds and a third, and they didn't have to give up a first, I understand the value in that for sure. The other side of that coin, I think that Joe Douglas did a great job driving up the price for the Miami Dolphins. I think the Chiefs and I think Tyreek Hill both did that as well. I think they all knew that they were getting the fish hook, line, and sinker because Tyreek Hill is from Florida. His agent is from Florida. They have a good relationship with the Dolphins. They have no state income tax in Florida. What on earth made anyone think that Tyreek Hill was going to come to the New York Jets aside from like the possibility that we were maybe the only ones going for him? I don't think it was ever a shot to happen realistically. I know like there was reports and everything and everyone's going crazy about it, but I think there was just a whole leverage play here. And look, for me, there's a few things that we find interesting from this. Like one, that Joe Douglas is now in on another big time trade for a wide receiver. I think we've heard DK Metcalf's name floated around a lot. I've seen things today that Seattle is listening to, both wide receivers Lockett and DK in terms of their trade values and what they could get for them. They are listening to teams. I think it's interesting. And what does it mean for the Jets in the draft? Because you're talking about a player that is one of the best in the league. He's one of the fastest guys in the league. Are the Jets looking at wide receiver at number 10? Because clearly this is a big-time move, right? This tells me they're not looking at wide receiver at 10. Because why wouldn't you offer 10 for one of the best receivers in the league then? So I shouldn't say it's not that they're not looking at number 10. They just might value number 10 more than $120 million fully guaranteed. I don't know. I'm happy he wound up not going to the Jets. I'm not thrilled that he wound up going to the Dolphins because we got to see him twice a year now. And he is elite. He is so, so good. So you see a lot of jokes being made. The Jets are a lock to go Sauce Gardner at number 4 because we need someone that's going to wind up being able to guard him. And to that I say, I still love me some Big Apple crisscross applesauce. I love me some Sauce Gardner. So him going to Miami makes that more a reality. I don't hate that either. But look, I think this shows the Jets are serious about wide receiver. I think there's definitely some opportunity for a trade. I think we are definitely going to address this at the top end of the draft, whether it be number 10 or number 35. I don't think we go beyond that. I do think there's a realistic shot that the Jets are going to trade back into the first. I think you have so many picks, and there's the threat at possibly having some of these tail end of the first teams targeting a wide receiver. And if you have the ammo, why not move up into the mid-20s? Get a guy like, I don't know, maybe it's Jameson Williams. Maybe it's Treylon Burks. Maybe it's Christian Watson. There's a lot of guys available. I particularly like Watson and Pickens personally in the second round. I do like Dotson a lot. There's probably like 6 or 7 receivers that I would be totally cool with getting. And I think that's why I'm not as like hell-bent on going wide receiver at number 10, which is almost the same reason why I'm not hell-bent on going edge rusher at number 4. Like, in a weird sort of way. Like, I like Sauce more than I like any of the other corners by a pretty wide margin. Now, I don't think we should go corner at 4, just like I didn't think we should go receiver when we took Becton, even though I wanted CeeDee Lamb. I think the smart move is taking the position of need that is very hard to fill. You know, both of them are hard to fill, but the edge rusher is the one that's going to be harder to fill as you get later into the draft. So I still think it should be edge rusher at 4. I think you sit at 10. If you like a receiver there, you know, maybe it's Garrett Wilson, maybe it's Drake London, you pull the trigger there. If you don't like him and you like Sauce or you want to trade down, sure. I think there's a real shot the Jets are going to move down from 4. If Willis falls past the Lions at 2, I think there are going to be teams, particularly Carolina and Pittsburgh, that are going to try and come up. And I've heard a lot of things about Pittsburgh. A whole lot of things about Pittsburgh. Maybe I'll make a video about all that sort of stuff. Let's see. What are you guys talking about over here in the chat? I see the NY Bully. Move that down. The NY Bully drops him a super chat. Says, I didn't know Hill beat up his pregnant girlfriend. I can't root for a player like that. I still think we make a trade for a wide receiver before the draft. That's what I don't get. Like, I understand if people didn't know about it, but, like, this guy, like, openly... There's audio of him arguing with his wife, talking about how he beats his kid with a belt. Like, screw this guy. I'm sorry. Like, I have a moral compass, at least to an extent. Like, I understand there's a threshold, right? Like, for me, I don't know where that is entirely. I would probably say somewhere in, like, the Dewey / getting dinged for drugs kind of situation. Like, okay, you're kind of a dummy for being able to get hit, you know, with, like, a negative or a positive drug test. And then you're also a dummy because you have the shuttle services. But, like, beating a kid, like a 3-year-old kid, he's terrified of his dad. Terrified. You can see the audio. It's on YouTube. Punched his pregnant wife in the stomach and choked her. Screw him. I don't care if he runs fast and catches a football well. I don't care if we lose two games a year because this guy's down in Florida. Sorry. I don't think he was ever coming here, and I think he used us as leverage. I think the Chiefs used us as leverage, and I think we, in a little bit of a way, used us as leverage because we knew Tyreek was never coming to New York. So, my bully, I agree with you. Muttviles drops in with super chat. Muttviles says, screw it, trade for Deebo Samuel. I trust Joe Douglas to find our wide receiver 1. The fact that JD almost got Hill and still kept 4-10, Joe Douglas is a wizard. I do like that aspect of this. The fact that the Jets were able to have a trade accepted by the Chiefs and it didn't include either first-round pick. The other side of this is you're giving up 2 top players, like 2 first-round picks. 34, 35, and 38 are 2 first-round picks because there's going to be quarterbacks that go in the first round that don't really, you know, I would say that the talent may not justify a first-round pick. And there's going to be players that wind up falling down into the top end of the second round because of it, and the Jets are going to benefit from it with 2 picks, 2 4-year contracts on cheap guys. You know, I understand the 3rd-round pick too. Like, that's going to be a good player as well, but I would like to see the Jets solve this without giving up a monster haul of picks. I would give up 1 pick. Like, DK, you want number 10? Sure. You want number 10 and a 3rd-round pick? Okay, I'll do that. Like, DK's a different animal. The dude's always healthy. He's like an elite specimen. Just a monster of a dude. I would totally go after DK. But if that's not an option, I'm totally fine with drafting one. I think there's a lot of really good receivers in this draft, and I don't think there's any harm in having that. Scar Cities drops from a super chat. Says, Whitehead will break his neck over the middle. Dude, he is a heat-seeking missile. And I hope someone gives him a good crack to the chest. Not an illegal hit, just like oh man, I'm not going across the middle anymore. That's what I want. It's the same way I felt about with Brady. Like, I never wanted Brady to get hurt, but I wanted him to not want to get up. I wanted him to stay down a little bit longer. They really think about calling the next play. That's what I'd like to see. Playing with my little graphics on the side because I didn't set it up perfectly. Look at me go. So bad. Oh, man. What else are you guys talking about over here? Drippy Douglas says, has A.J. Brown got paid yet? That would probably be another interesting trade option, especially if Titans don't want to pay him. I would think they would want to pay him. He's really friggin' good. I don't know what... Let's see what his contract is. I mean, you got to think... What is he in his third, fourth year now? Let's see. He's definitely still on his rookie contract. Yeah, he's in the last year of his rookie contract. If they think they can't extend him, by all means go after A.J. Brown. That would be awesome. Teammates with friggin' Elijah Moore again? I'm about it. All about it. Evan Kagan, thank you for coming in and dropping some knowledge that I said on Richie's stream. I was on Richie's stream just a little while ago, and I said this exact thing. I said I would trade number 10 and Denzel Mims for DK Metcalf. I do think it would take more than 4 years, $100 million, but maybe you could get him for that if, like, you threaten to franchise tag him for 2 years, but I think he's going to go for more than that. I think DK, on a renegotiated deal, is probably going to get something similar to Tyreek right now. Now, whether you want that or not is up for debate, I guess. Wild Billy Boy. I love how Ryan is trying to put a positive spin on this, like he wouldn't be freaked out if we got Hill. I'd be excited. Look, when we first saw the rumors coming out, I was like, wow, this is a really fast guy and a really talented guy. But, like, it totally doesn't make sense to me. Like, Douglas likes his picks. Why is he giving up this many picks? Douglas likes his money. Why is he giving up this much money? Douglas likes his character. Why is he going after Tyreek Hill? Like, none of this made any sense to me. I really, really think this was leverage by Tyreek, by the Chiefs, and by the Jets to try and get the Bills to lose out on more picks. Or the Dolphins to lose out on more picks. I don't know. That's a positive spin for sure, and I'm not looking forward to going against him, but I don't think he was ever an option for the New York Jets. Not really. Not when he had the opportunity to decide where he was going to end up going. Sorry. I don't think the Jets were really, really in on this the way everyone is really believing they are or were. Nicholas George the King. Thank you so much for the super chat. He says, just got here, and man, am I mad about not getting him. I think I'm more disappointed by the kind of swings and misses that we've been getting, because I feel like, oh, man, Ridley, like that, I really thought we were going to get Ridley. And then he gets dinged for gambling. It's like, really? Like, that happened? And then it's like, okay, Cooper makes a ton of sense. It's a big contract, but for a 5th-round pick, why not? Like, you use him for a 1-year rental if you have to. It's not a guaranteed contract. That made a ton of sense. Robert Woods, while a little bit older, not a whole lot to give up in terms of draft capital. Knows the system, for the most part. Similar system. Made a ton of sense. This one, talent-wise, I get it. 100% get it. Absolutely worthy of the picks we would have been given up. But everything, all the pieces together, Tyreek Hill is from Miami. His agent is from Florida. They have a good relationship with the Dolphins. There's no state income tax down there. Like, why wouldn't he go down there? There's just it made no sense to me the entire time why it would have happened. Mumtaz! Thank you for the super chat, brother. You're the man. You should be getting your Diamond Jet soon, I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken. I think you're the first one that will. Mumtaz says, Hill is not worth 5 starters. 35, 38, 69 can be 3 decent starters. And $30 million per year can be used to sign 2 elite free agent starters, like both Marcus Williams and Allen Robinson. Hill, Adams, with Hall of Fame quarterbacks, failed to get a Super Bowl, but help us. Well, Hill has a Super Bowl. I guess Adams doesn't. But it's not for a lack of trying. Like, they're good enough to really... They deserve that money. They have earned that money. I'm not going to take away any talent or monetary gain from them because I don't... I don't like one of them. I like Adams a lot. But yeah, look, 35, 38, and 69. 69, so here's the thing, right? Like they're lottery tickets, draft picks. So I understand people saying, hey, I would totally give 5 lottery tickets for a top 5, top 10 receiver in the league. I understand that 100%. And that's why I would trade for DK Metcalf. I would have no problem with that. I'd give up number 10 in a heartbeat. But it is interesting. The Jets could have made a stronger push if they wanted to. They could have given up 10. But this tells me that they're not necessarily looking at receiver as a top 10 need. Like, we have other needs, and they think they could get a wide receiver maybe a little bit later, or they're trying to move some of those picks that they've gathered to get a wide receiver via trade like a DK Metcalf. But yeah, look, 35 and 38. That's what I've been saying. Those are 2 first-round picks that are on 4-year contracts. There's going to be really good players at 35 and 38 at positions of need for the New York Jets. Those are 2 starters. Just think, the Jets got 4 lock starters with our first 4 picks in the first 4 rounds. We've got 5 before we took our 4th-round pick this year. Let's get 5 starters. I don't want to give up 3 starters. Doesn't make sense to me. I didn't think Joe Douglas was going to do it. And I'm a little surprised to hear like so many people like kind of thinking he was going to. I don't know. It all felt squirrely to me. Adam drops in with Super Chat, says, what about Chase Claypool? So I have a guy that says he knows things. And I don't know whether to believe him or not yet. But from what he's saying, there is a lot of smoke around the Jets and the Steelers trading at 4. If Malik Willis gets past the Lions, the Steelers are coming up to pick 4, and the Jets are going to get a friggin' haul. Now, I would expect Chase Claypool to be a part of that trade, or we're going to get a monster load of picks. Like, you're talking first, second, third, like the next 2 years. That's a beastly addition. I'd be trying to get a first next year. I'd forego a third this year to get a first next year. Don't give me the 2nd-round pick. Give me a first and third in the 2nd year. You're coming up to number 4 to get your quarterback? I'd do it. I think Chase Claypool was the wide receiver that Joe Douglas wanted when he traded back, and he miscalculated it, and he got Mims instead. I have nothing to base that on. No one's told me that. But I think, based on like the talent, I think Claypool was just a poor miscalculation, unfortunately. Because everyone thought Mims was going to be a first-round pick. I would have thought Mims would have gone ahead of Claypool. So I don't know. What are you guys talking about in there? J.E. says 4, Sauce, 10, Jermaine Johnson or Walker, 2nd round, George Pickens or Christian Watson, 38, Leo Chanel, 3rd, Mechie. I really want Sauce. Like, I want the Big Apple Sauce in New York. I just want him there. He's the Big Apple Sauce. And I really like Jermaine Johnson and Walker. Like, I think both those guys have their heads screwed on right. I think they both, project as monsters in the NFL. And I really like Pickens and Watson. Those are my 2 wide receivers I want in the 2nd round. If I could take one of them, Watson, the only concern is the level of competition. With Pickens, the injury with the ACL is a concern. And look, I like Pickens a lot. I'm not worried about the injury because of how he tested at the combine. I think it's going to be fine. I really, really like that he is just a nasty SOB. It is what it is. You see him shush the other team's other team's sideline. He throws the defensive back like 5 yards on a running play and then goes back to the sideline and looks. Like, that is like, I want guys like that. When you say you want dogs, I don't want a guy that's like, off the field issues. Like Pickens, he's spraying guys with a water bottle. He's getting in like, little chippy fights, but I'll take that all day. You get some aggressive, violent dudes on your team, you start winning some games. I'm all about Pickens, but I like Watson too. I have not watched enough about Leo Chanel, though, so I unfortunately cannot talk to that one. RJ McPot drops in with a super chat. Thank you, dude. He says, we Jet fans have to start having hope and faith that we will draft 5 Tyreek Hill level starters with our first 5 picks Jet the F up. Yeah, look, the Jets have to get to a point where we're winning enough games that players want to come here. Because right now, if it's about the money, a lot of teams have money. And we get whacked with just a higher income tax, unfortunately, being in the tri-state area. Now, you're only taxed on the games that you're actually playing in your state. So if, 2 games a year, Tyreek Hill is going to get New Jersey taxes, and 2 games a year he's going to get New York taxes with Buffalo. So he's going to pay, not a full 10% for that tax bracket, but it's probably going to be, maybe half that. Unless they put it in the form of a signing bonus. Because if they say it's a signing bonus and he gets it all right now, then a lot of that's going to be untaxed. But then they won't be able to cut him. But basically, the contract they gave him was a 4-year, 120 million fully guaranteed deal, because he's getting 72 million fully guaranteed at signing, and then if he's on the roster day one of next year, which is March of 2023, he's going to get the rest of it. Like that's 120 million fully guaranteed for a guy that punched his pregnant wife and beat his kid with a belt. Dude, I'm sorry. I'd rather find 4 busts and 1 guy that works than trade. For him. I would trade for other guys. Adam drops him a super chat, says, what are the odds Willis slips past 2? I don't know. I think, so Greenbean was saying that the Lions with Willis at the Senior Bowl, they tried to protect him a lot. They pulled him out of the game earlier than they otherwise would have. And that could be a tell. That could be, hey, look, we think we're going to get you at 32. And then they're like, oh, man, this is happening. We're going to get him at 2 now. Like, he's not going to make it to 32, and we don't have the ammo to come back up. Like, if he's there at 2 and you think he's your quarterback, pull the trigger. Now, if he gets past them, I think there's a really good shot there's going to be teams calling the Texans, the Jets, and the Giants before the Panthers, just trying to get up. I'm curious to see how much love there is for the second tier of quarterbacks. Like, is Pickett, worth trading up for? If Willis goes 2, are the Jets still looking to slide back because the Panthers are looking to get him, or the Falcons are trying to jump the Panthers? Personally, I'd love to stay in the top 10 if we trade down. But if the Steelers want to come up, it's going to be a lot of picks, and I would be okay doing that, especially in this kind of draft. There's enough players in the mid-rounds that I think you can build a beefy team. Conley, thank you for the super chat, dude. Says, imagine we got Hill, then Thibodeau, then Sauce. I can imagine it. Look, that's a lot of talent. It's a lot of talent. Shivanshu, a.k.a. Lima Bean, drops in with the super chat, says, if the best cornerbacks get roasted in today's NFL, do you think Sauce will do better? The Sauce has gone bad. Edge, wide receiver, 1 to stop their quarterback, 1 to stop ours. I'm not against what you're saying, Shivanshu, at all. I very much think quarterback and wide receiver, or edge rusher and wide receiver are our 2 biggest needs. But I don't think that you necessarily need to take your receiver in the first round. I think you can, and if they do that, that's fine. But the fact that they didn't offer 10 for Tyreek Hill makes me think they have no interest in going wide receiver at number 10. I don't know. Right now, the way free agency broke, I would say you are right. I would go based on need at valuable positions. The 2 most valuable positions that we need are edge rusher and wide receiver, and it makes sense because you could probably get the second best edge rusher and probably the second best wide receiver in this draft class, and that's going to help you a lot. But how different, or how much of a drop-off is there from the second best wide receiver to like the 6th or 7th? Because I really don't think it's that much. I mean, you're talking Garrett Wilson, Drake London, Chris Olave, Treylon Burks, Jamison Williams, John Doxson, Pickens, Watson. That's 8 wide receivers. I like all 8 of them, and they're all kind of bring different things to the table. Now, some guys are faster than others. Some guys have different metrics for sure, and that's what makes the other guys, rise higher in value. But you look at the guys that we were linked to, like Ridley and Tyreek Hill, and we've called about DK Metcalf, and We wanted to go after Mike Williams. Like, we're kind of all over the board. So I don't necessarily think we have to, like, kind of lock ourselves into wide receiver at 10. When you can get two premier, like, defensive players and set a tone. You draft an edge rusher and you draft Sauce Gardner, that is a statement pick. That is absolutely a statement pick, and it's telling your franchise, like, hey, this is the type of player that we value. Now, if they were really in on Tyreek Hill, that goes out the window. I have no idea. Then they just want the talent. They don't care about the personality, which is confusing because they've always drafted like captains, and they've put such an emphasis on that. It's interesting. Richard Delgado, aka Dick Delgado, says, I'm sad the Jets didn't get Tyreek Hill. We can't see his speed as he runs back to the locker room after they lose 20-3 with the Jets. After they lose 20-3 with the Jets. His speed as he runs back to the locker room if he was the Jets. You're saying if the Jets lost, he'd be sad and he'd go running away. I hope he throws his helmet off halfway through a game and retires and gets cut from his team. That's what I hope. Robbie drops him a super chat. Thank you, dude. He says, in school praying we get hell. Then I see we offered 2 seconds and a third. We could have given a little more effort for him. Bad job by JD. No, because it didn't matter what we offered. It didn't matter what we offered. Because if Tyreek Hill didn't sign a contract while making that trade, it wasn't going to happen. Tyreek Hill was never going to come to the Jets. Just because the Jets could have offered 20 first-round picks. If he didn't want to sign the contract, it wasn't happening. He didn't want to sign with the Jets. He was going back home to Miami. His agent is from Miami. They know the Miami Dolphins well. There's no state income tax down there. He was never coming to New York. Never coming to New York. I understand the Jets offered stuff, but I'm sorry, no matter what the Jets were going to offer, it was always Tyreek's decision because of the contract. Unless Joe Douglas was willing to give up a lot of picks for just a one-year rental and potentially ticking him off and franchise tagging him, he was never coming to New York. Taps any button. Drops it with a super chat. Thank you, dude. He says, this proves Joe Douglas is trying to get help for Zach. Hindsight is always 20/20. I wanted Tyreek Hill, when the news dropped. But that contract was crazy. I'd rather draft a wide receiver, Drake London or Garrett Wilson, is my vote. Yes, I like both those receivers more than I like Tyreek Hill. Now, look, I understand. The raffle ticket, lottery ticket style thing that is the draft, and Tyreek Hill is a proven player. I have no problem trading for a proven player. DK Metcalf, throw a number 10 at him. No problem. Number 10 and a third? Sure. Go out and get him. Go help Zach Wilson. Joe Douglas has not... The one thing we can say about Joe Douglas is it's not like he has ignored the quarterback position and the help around him. Brings in 2 tight ends, builds a monster offensive line, spends big money there, has been in on like every trade conversation for the New York Jets. And it's just tough. It's like, what winds up happening that we just miss out or that there's a little bit of a disconnect? I know they want to go young, which is why I think they weren't in on Robert Woods. I'm a little disappointed in that because I'm only looking for like a 1 or 2 year rental anyway. Because I want our second round wide receiver to be the guy. And I think Corey Davis can still be the guy. I like Corey Davis. I think Elijah Moore's a number 1. I don't think it's as crazy to think that our own guys could be really good. But yeah, dude, Drake London would be my pick of the 2. I like Garrett Wilson a lot. I think he's like an Odell Beckham, like that type of receiver. I just think the Jets, I don't even know what the Jets are going for because they were going to go after Mike Williams. They went after Tyreek Hill. They were going to go after Ridley. They inquired about DK. So they're literally like all over the map. I don't think they're all over the map. I don't think there's a style of receiver that they're necessarily targeting. I think they just want a good player to help Zach. And let's talk for a second about like Tyreek Hill going to play in Miami with Tua. Like, it's not like they're going to be throwing over the top of us. Tua doesn't have an arm. They're going to be throwing bubble screens. You know who's really good at tackling? Sauce Gardner. Just saying. That's all I'm saying. Wild Billy Boy drops him a super chat, says, if you want DK, you realize we would have to give up more draft capital and pay him just as much as Hill. Right. I have no problem paying the contract. I have no problem giving up the picks. And I've said I would give up number 10. Number 10 is more valuable than what the Jets gave up. I would give up number 10 and a third for DK. No questions asked. He's going to get a monster contract. I have no problem giving it to him. 24 years old, monster. Absolute monster at wide receiver. Will help Zach Wilson, 100%. So would we give up more draft capital? Sure, and I'm okay with that. Would I pay him just as much? I'd pay him more. I think he's worth more than Tyreek Hill. I think he's got a better head on his shoulders. Chair Run drops him a super chat. Says Hill lost 31-9 in the Super Bowl. Never going back to one. Not in Miami, he's not. Isaac drops him a super chat. Says, since Joe Douglas was willing to trade 35, 38, and 69, do you think he'd go defense with both firsts and use a mix of those picks to trade back into the first to get a wide receiver before Green Bay and Kansas City? Yes, I do. I absolutely do. I think the Jets are going to take 3 picks in the first round this year. And I think what you're going to see is the Jets go Sauce at 4, an edge rusher at 10, and I think what's going to happen is the Jets move up 35 and like a 3rd round pick, and they're going to get into the middle of the 2nd round, and they're going to take the receiver they want. It might be Christian Watson. They had him in the Senior Bowl. It'd be weird seeing him go up that high. Or maybe Treylon Burks, and they try to get their Deebo Samuel. I don't know. There's going to be a lot of different options. But I do think the Jets are trading back in, especially if they wind up trading down. If the Jets trade down with like the Steelers and they are picking at 10 and 20, there is no way they're not trading back into the first round. And then you go with maybe like the edge rusher at 10, you get Nakobe Dean at 20, and you get your wide receiver in like the mid 20s, and then you get your safety in the 2nd round. Like, get out of town. Like that's legit. That is 100% legit. Jose drops him a super chat, says, how you feel about Lewis Cine at 38? That's who I have in my mock draft. I do. I don't know if he's going to make it that far. I thought the Chiefs were going to go safety at the end of the first round, and it depends how they feel about Juju and the rest of their receiver core, but I think there's probably a good shot they go receiver pretty early, especially the tail end of the first, because that's where you can get a lot of talent at wide receiver, especially in this draft. So I do think the Jets are trading back in front of those types of teams to get their wide receiver this year. But how do I feel about Lewis Cine? I want every Georgia player. I want Nakobe Dean. I want Cine. I want Trayvon Walker. I want James Cook. Like, sign me up. I'm all about it. All about it. Now, I saw this before. Brian, where's the Sauce Gardner shirt? So I've got a shirt already. If the Jets take him, I have it on lock already. Like, I made it. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to have this in the arsenal just in case. I've actually got 2. I've got 2 of them. So if we take him, those will be available, and someone's going to win one on draft night. If it happens. We'll see. I can't wait. Draft night's going to be friggin' wild. It's going to be nuts. Oh, God. What are you guys talking about in here? Mike Kaz says trading back in for Linderbaum. If he falls to like the middle of the first round, sure. I have no problem with that. I don't think he does. I think he goes 12 to the Texans. That'll be my guess. I think they go with the defensive player at 3. I think they go with the offensive lineman at 12 there. Christopher saying, Collins, I do want to hear what you guys have to say. And I probably shouldn't let this fester too long because the heat isn't going to be there the way it was today. I saw a lot of people upset. Shivanshu drops in with a super chat, says, if we pass on Thibodeau for a cornerback, he's going to be LT for the Giants. That's literally the only reason that, like, I don't want to say it's the only reason I would take Kayvon, but like I really don't want to see him go to the Giants and like just be like, because he is Hollywood. If he's good and he's on your team, you have an incredibly marketable player. He's going to make himself a ton of money like that if he winds up being good. I think he's going to be a headache. Like I think he is going to be that Revis type of situation where you wind up trying to have a conversation about a contract and he's like, nope, I want the moon. And you know what? He might be worth it. And you hope to get in that situation because then you have him locked in for a really good rookie contract with a really good player. So it's a good problem to have. I think personally the Jets should go edge rusher at 4 because I think it's a more important position than cornerback, and I think there's a really good shot that Sauce falls to 10 anyway. Who do you like at 4? It's not because of Thibodeau's talent that I don't like him. I like a lot of the other talent more. Or not more, but like just as much. Jermaine Johnson, Trayvon Walker, I'm all about it. I like him. Joshua drops in with a super chat and says the Jets need to go Sauce at 4, Walker at 10, or Johnson. At 35, go Pickens. 38, go Perion Winfrey. 69, go Petrie. Ooh, and then James Cook. Build this team right. That is an epic mock draft. If I could have that, I would do that in a heartbeat. I really like Sauce. I really like Walker and Johnson. I really like Pickens. I think you're just donating $5 so that way you can get me all sorts of excited with the stuff I've sort of been saying anyway. Now, I've been saying safety in the second round. You have safety in the third round. No problem there. No problem whatsoever. This is a really, really good mock draft. Really like that. So Jerry doesn't think Sauce falls to number 10. So let's play a little bit of a mock draft, sort of mock scenario. Who is taking Sauce in the top 10? If he gets to the Jets at 4, that's what we're talking about, right? If he gets to the Jets at 4, do you see the Giants passing on their choice of offensive lineman at 5? Because if the Panthers don't go quarterback, they're going to take an offensive lineman before the Giants at 7. So that pick's going to be an offensive lineman. I think 6 could very well be a quarterback, or it could be an offensive lineman. I don't see it being a cornerback after they took J.C. Horn last year. Then you got the Giants again. And maybe that's the only situation that you kind of consider. But I think they go defensive line. I think they go with an edge rusher. I think that's where Kayvon Thibodeau ends up going. At number 8, the Falcons, they don't have any wide receivers. They brought back Cordero Patterson. But who else they got? That pick feels like a lock to be a wide receiver. Maybe outside shot at a quarterback. Number 9, Seattle. They're paying 2 safeties a ton of money over there. They just let DJ Reed go in free agency. Is cornerback a need for them? Or are they going edge rusher? I've seen a lot of teams get mocked, or a lot of mock drafts mock the Seahawks an edge rusher. And then you got the Jets at 10. So unless a team trades up to get Sauce in front of the Jets, I think he's going to be there at 10. But I think you run the risk of a team wanting to trade down and a team possibly looking to get up. I don't know. It's interesting. I like enough edge rushers that I feel confident that one of the ones I like will be there at 10. Especially if Thibodeau, Walker, Johnson, and Karlaftis, if all 4 are there at the 4th pick. If you say one goes to the Giants and one goes to the Seahawks, at worst, you're saying the Jets have their pick of 2. Like, that's where you start to justify Sauce. Like, if you think Sauce is way and away the best player in this draft, or one of them, like top 2, 3, like Blewett thinks he's the second best player in this draft. If that's the case, and you get him at 4, and you got him locked in for a cheap contract for a long time, why not? That's good. And then you get your edge rusher. You get, if you like 2 or 3 of those edge rushers, why not roll the dice on that guy being there at 10? Especially if you like a guy's a little bit later in the draft that you were able to see at the Senior Bowl. That gives you the green light. That's really the piece of the whole puzzle that I'm not sure where it fits. Because value-wise, as far as like big-time need, I don't see Sauce or cornerback in general as like necessarily a top 10 need. But I think it's harder to get a cornerback in the second round than it is to get a really good one at the top of the draft. Whereas I really think you can get an elite wide receiver in the second round. Deebo Samuel, A.J. Brown, Both second-round picks. I'm sure there's a bunch more. Wasn't Michael Thomas was like a second or third-round pick. Lots of really good players fall to the second round. The Jets got 2 picks where they get to spend a whole night thinking about the players that are now falling to them. I love it. I hope we hold on to both picks, unless we trade back into the first. If we trade back into the first, I'm okay. Chairrun drops in with a super chat. Says, it's a defensive talent draft, not a wide receiver frenzy like last year. Now we have a top 5 quarterback buzz. Once again, Willis, JD going to play it smart with best player available. 100%. If you think that there's going to be 1 or 2 or maybe even the crazy situation of 3 quarterbacks going in the top of this draft, you're going to get a really good player at 10. Really good player at 10. There's no reason to reach for a wide receiver there. In my opinion, there is a large chunk of receivers that are very good. Now, I do think that Drake London has the potential to be special. I think he's the one that really, really stands out to me because of his size and because of his potential speed and what he could just do to people. That could be a very special talent. I like Garrett Wilson. He is a precise route runner. Contorts his body in the air. Incredible. It's like watching those before practice highlights of Odell Beckham. That's sort of how I view it. Jared drops in with a super chat, says, so you think the Jets draft 4 players from the Senior Bowl. Who are those 4 players? Also, Jameson Williams at 10 and another wide receiver later on. Thoughts? I think that teams are not afraid to take an ACL tear wide receiver and give them a lot of money. We've seen that with Godwin. We've seen that with Gallup now. I think Jameson Williams will be fine, and I think he's 100% worthy of a first-round pick. I would possibly be willing to trade back into the first to get him if he was falling into the mid-20s, because you could use him as a redshirt year, and you have him for 4 more years after this. But I would not take him at 10. I think Wilson and London are good enough that I don't need to worry about the injury issue. It's not an issue, but like the ACL as much with Jameson Williams. So I really like him. Adding another wide receiver later on, I wouldn't hate it. It's not necessarily where I would go, but I think the Jets are going to wind up getting a lot of Senior Bowl players from this draft. And it may not necessarily all be drafted. I think they will get 4 guys. We have, 9 picks, so I think just under half of them will wind up being Senior Bowl guys. Now, who could they be? It could be Jermaine Johnson. It could be Christian Watson. It could be Jeremy Ruckert. It could be Jalen Petrie. Like, all those guys it's all possible. That's 4 right there. That's not, absurd. I'm sure that Jake Ferguson, would that surprise anyone? Charlie Kolar? There's a lot of really good players that the Jets could go after. I don't know. I like Jermaine Johnson a lot. He'd be someone I'd be keeping an eye on. Flash says, Fant for DJ Moore. Straight swap. Carolina would take a quarterback at 6, get a tackle, and we take a edge at 4. No, we take Ekwonu. He's saying we take Ekwonu at 4 and Johnson, Karlaftis, or Walker at 10. I don't hate that. If they don't think they could re-sign George Fant, and they have faith in Becton being the player that he was drafted to be, okay, I would hold on to Fant personally. I don't like the idea of trading him because I think he is your best tackle right now, and you don't give that away when you have a young quarterback that you're trying to evaluate. Like, there's enough good receivers in this draft, and while I really like DJ Moore, and this could be a total option for us at the trade deadline, but he just signed like a 4-year contract, so he's not really going anywhere. So Evan says trade for DK or AJ Green. AJ Green's a free agent, isn't he? John says any chance Jerry Jeudy from Denver? No way. They're trying to win. No shot. The only way that would have happened would be if they needed ammo to get Wilson. And that didn't happen. Johnny D makes me think if we threw number 10th overall, we get Hill. Yeah, but what does that tell you? We could have done it. We have plenty of picks. There's no reason we couldn't have sent them the 10th pick. I don't think the Jets were actually in on this. Like, as much as there's so much, like, everyone saying the Jets offered all these picks, Tyreek Hill was never coming here. He was never going to sign a contract with the Jets. So the Jets were never going to be able to trade for him. As much smoke as there is, the Jets made the Dolphins pay up. The Chiefs made the Dolphins pay up. Tyreek Hill made the Dolphins pay up. And it worked. They played them like a drum. The 10th overall pick, I think if Joe Douglas wanted a wide receiver badly enough, he would give up the 10th overall pick. I think DK is the only receiver that he would do that for. He could have given it up for Tyreek, and he didn't. Does that tell me he values receiver at 10 if he was willing to give up those other picks? I think those other picks were the picks he was thinking about using a wide receiver on. I think he's going defense with both first-round picks. Or maybe he's, hopeful that maybe he still goes Aquanu. I think that would be a bad move. I mean, if you take Aquanu and then you trade Fant or Becton, that would have to be the move, but I don't love that either. I don't know. Not sure what winds up happening. June, the first Jet formerly June Smith. If we don't pick up a wide receiver from now to the draft, we have to double dip at wide receiver. I don't think we do. I really don't. Because, look, we want to run the ball, and we want to go through the tight ends. So we drafted, or we signed 2 tight ends. You bring back Coleman. You have Carter. I think we probably draft a running back at some point in this draft. Probably late, 4th, 5th round. Maybe undrafted free agent. Wide receiver double dip. If you have your 2 tight ends on the field, and I expect us to draft another tight end, and you have Elijah Moore, and you have Corey Davis, and you have Braxton Berrios, and you have whatever that higher drafted wide receiver is, the other guy's just depth. So, like, I'm fine with the Jets passing on the second wide receiver after, I obviously think one of the first 4 picks should be a receiver. But after that, if they want to go into undrafted free agency because they like someone that they had at the Senior Bowl, I'm okay with that. I don't think they have to like double down in the draft per se. Joshua, thank you for the super chat. Says coached Travis Jones and Winfrey. Interior defensive line help needed. No way. You coached both those guys? No, you're saying we coached both those guys. I was going to say, it's like, hold on a second. That doesn't seem right. Yeah, no. We coached them at the Senior Bowl. We're going to need interior defensive line help. I'm curious to see if they wind up moving on from Rankins at some point. Like, if they get a guy they like in the draft, do they pull the trigger and cut Sheldon Rankins? Probably. Steven drops him a super chat, says trade for McCaffrey or Dalvin Cook instead. Haven't we kind of learned our lesson on like the running back front? Get fresh legs from the draft. Don't spend a whole crazy ton on them. And just keep fresh legs. Get the stable. It's going to be Michael Carter. It's going to be James Cook. Like, I want Dalvin Cook's little brother. I think he's really good. And you can have him in like the 4th. Dalvin Cook's going to cost you every bit of a high second, maybe 2 high seconds. You're not going to give up 10 for him, I don't think. He's really good. Shavanshu drops him in the super chat, says 2 tight end sets are used max 30%, ironically, by the Finns. So are you saying the Finns have used the most 2 tight end sets? I can see it. We also use, mostly 3 or 4 wide receiver sets. So I shouldn't say mostly. But if you ideally, I think the home run threat of Hill was what they liked a lot. So maybe that's the type of receiver you want to look for. Maybe it is like a Watson or a Pickens, someone that runs really fast, that is really tall, even though Hill's not very tall. Hill's, 5'10"? He can't be very, very tall. I don't know. I think we still bring in tight ends. I think the way this team wants to run, it's primarily with heavy sets, running the ball, quick slants, and then the occasional home run shot. It's what every team needs. Johnny D says, Hill is under contract. If the Jets made a better offer, Casey would accept it. That's fine, but would you want to trade for Hill on a 1-year contract? Why would you do that? That would be a horrible move. Hill had all the power here. He was either signing his contract with whatever team traded for him. Basically, the Chiefs had to say, okay, we're fine with either one of these trades. You could talk to either team. It didn't matter. You could say the friggin', I don't know, the New York Rangers were looking to sign Tyreek Hill. And the Miami Dolphins were. Well, guess what? He was never going to sign with the Rangers the same way he was never going to sign with the Jets. I'm sorry. Like, unless the Jets were offering some stupid amount of money, like way higher, like over the income tax threshold plus some, then maybe he considers it. But he wanted to go to Miami. It's the same way Davante Adams wanted to go to Las Vegas. That's the reason he turned down more money from the Packers. It's not because the Packers didn't offer him the money. There's no way he was going to sign a contract with the Jets. Nunzio says, does anyone know who Seattle wants with their first pick? I have no idea. I've seen edge rusher in a few mock drafts, but then I've also seen like Stingley to the Jets. So like, how much can you really trust that, I guess? I don't know. They lost DJ Reed, so there's an argument for corner. I don't know. I hope they like a quarterback. That would be nice. Jets NY says South Beach is hard to pass up. Yeah, right? That's just it. Like, as much as we say, like, okay, yeah, New York is great, it's really tough to win in New York. The media is brutal. Like, we see this with all our players. We see it with all other teams' players that play in New York. Yankees, Mets, Islanders, Rangers, friggin' everyone. Giants, Jets. South Beach, nice weather all the time. No income tax. You're from there. Have your family around. Like, yeah, sorry, I'm going to where that is most comfortable. Just because the Jets could offer more doesn't mean they get them. Joshua, thank you for the super chat, dude. Says, okay, you want Dalvin Cook, just draft his brother. Yeah, see? Exactly. James is a better receiver and can run outside the tackles. Dalvin is a better back, but James fits better. I really liked Dalvin Cook a lot. I would have taken him like with our top 10 pick. I thought he was that good. And then I started hearing about like, okay, basically every year since like his sophomore year in high school, he was involved with the police in some capacity. And I was like, all right, maybe not. Maybe don't do that. But I thought the talent was absolutely there. He's incredible. And I think the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. I think there's definitely some thoroughbred genes being passed down in that Cook family. Whoever Mama Cook and Dada Cook are, the seed is strong. James Cook, he's filthy. Watch his highlights. Really good. Lots of fun to watch. June says, in all my years of being a Jet fan, I truly believe we have to get Metcalf. That's the ballsy move. If you can swing that, I just don't know how you do it. Like, does Seattle trade for their pick back? Like, I don't think the Texans were going to trade Watson to Miami last year before everything happened to get their pick back from the Tunsil trade. I sort of feel the same way. I would give up 10. I would give up 10 and a third. No questions asked. I think that's more valuable than the first and second that the Packers gave up. Granted, Adams is like 4 or 5 years older than DK. DK is absolutely someone you go all in on. I mean, you might even say a first and next year's second Like if they're looking for ammo to go up and get a quarterback next year, maybe you go next year's picks. Love to see it. Nick H says, call me crazy, but I would try to get Metcalf free. I don't think I would do that. I like our situation. I don't know what it would cost. Like they're gonna want a first round pick, and I don't want to give up a first or I don't want to give up a top 10 pick. I heard Becton is angry about how he's being portrayed, and he will kill at least 3 DNs on the field this season. I love that Becton's angry. This is a very good sign. Like players that get angry and have a chip on their shoulder, that's good. You want that. Now, I think he's getting a ton of unjustified hate because I think a lot of people are running with the he's overweight, he's out of shape. Like the guy had a lower leg injury. If he's overweight or out of shape, it's because he's not able to run. And when you're not able to run at that size, dude, you're going to gain some weight. And he's had weight issues his whole career. He's on his 3rd nutritionist. Why he didn't have a nutritionist this entire time is kind of beyond me. That's more of a concern for me, I think. And am I worried about Becton? Sure. Because a small injury could wind up to be a bigger injury because of his size. But look, injuries are something that happens. It's not like he was injury prone in college. He's an animal. Everyone forgets what we saw 2 years ago. This dude was ragdolling people. Like best tackle in the league potential. I hope he's angry, and I hope he comes out and he just puts a whooping on Von Miller. Really want to see that. Charon, thank you for super chat again, brother. He says, have you ever invited Jet Central YouTuber on? Dude pulls over on a freeway for breaking Jets news and lots of analysis. Big fan of you both. Yes. So Jet Central and I actually collabed before the Baker and Darnold draft. Very briefly, like 3 days before, we went on a Zoom call, and he wanted Rosen, I wanted Baker, and we both thought Sam was going 1. So neither one of us thought Sam was going to be there at 3. I have reached out to Jet Central a few times. So ball's in his court. Would love to have him on. No problem whatsoever. Jerry says, Jets fans will eat their words about Becton, and there was Van Roten's fault. Who should be shipped to Ukraine? Van Roten should be shipped to Ukraine. I hope they're gonna eat their words on Becton because he's an animal. He really has the potential to be like a staple here for a long time. I really hope so. Really, really hope so. Christopher says, value for wide receiver changed because of Joe Douglas. He can get players. That's why I know he has a plan in place. I do think he has a plan in place. I really do. I think there's absolutely contingencies. Now, this one felt panicky, if true. I just really think there's not a... it didn't seem right. I don't think Joe... We might have been in on it, but I don't think it was ever going to happen. Jake asks, any chance the Jets double dip at receiver if only they could take London or trade back into the first for Jameson Williams? That would be ridiculous. I don't want to do that. That's a lot. It's tough, right? Like I wanted Jameson Williams. He was my top wide receiver coming into the draft just before he tore the ACL, and like I think Matt and I were live, or maybe Blewett and I were live. And I look over and I'm seeing him on the ground. I'm like, oh no, he's done. He got the Gallup. He got the Godwin. Like, it just happens to every player I like. Hopefully not. Hopefully not. Nunzo, I really like your take that the Jets didn't really want Hill and were just driving up the cost. Dolphins are effed if Hill gets a major injury. Yeah, let me reiterate, all that. For those of you that are just kind of popping in right now, I really think the Jets while it seems like they were really in on it, and maybe they were, but I think it like a lot for a lot of reasons it just doesn't add up. Like Joe Douglas has not showed us that he's going to give away a bunch of draft picks for a player. He's not shown that he's going to overpay for a player like this. And then like Tyreek Hill has all the control here. Tyreek Hill is able to dictate where he goes because he's only going to sign a contract extension with a team he wants to go to. He's from Miami. His agent's from Miami. He's got a good relationship with the Dolphins. There's no state income tax. It's to the Jets' benefit to drive up the price. It's to Tyreek Hill's benefit to drive up the price. It's to the Chiefs' benefit to drive up the price. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I just, it doesn't feel right. Like, it smells off. I don't know what it is. I know what it is. It's exactly what I just said. If the Jets wanted to get him, they could have given up number 10. To me, it tells me they don't want to take a receiver at 10. That's what this move sort of tells me. Could they? Sure. Maybe they're feeling because they weren't able to trade for a guy, they're going to be panicked and they're going to pull the trigger at 10. I still think the value's in the second round. I think that's why they were willing to give up those second round picks, because that's where they think they're going to take a receiver. But I hope it's just for driving up the price. Shivanshu says, considering the injuries, we should double dip at wide receiver. I think you should bring in 2 receivers. I don't think you have to draft them, though. I think you draft one high. Look, Corey Davis is still young. He was a top, 5 pick? He was number 5, I think. He looked like he connected with Zach. He just had a weird case of the dropsies, and then he got hurt. I want to see more from Corey Davis. And I think Elijah Moore has every bit of number 1 wide receiver potential. I really like Elijah Moore. When I saw some tweets earlier today where they were talking about, maybe Elijah Moore's included in this trade to go get Tyreek Hill, I was about to throw my desk out a window. I would have been so angry. Like, I wouldn't have been super thrilled with giving up a lot of picks and giving a huge contract to Tyreek Hill because I don't particularly love the person of Tyreek Hill. But to give up someone who I really like in Elijah Moore, like I really like what we have with Zach Wilson, Elijah Moore, Michael Carter, AVT. Like, we're building something really good here. And I would have been a little irritated to do that. Conley drops in with a super chat. It says, Becton is live on Twitch right now. His title is Big Bus 77. Also, what about 35-38 and a 2023 third for DK? All day. 100%. Yep. If they'll do it, yes. 100% I'll do that. And Becton, with the Big Bus 77, he changed his Twitter handle to that in response to fans, like, just ragging on him. And I'm sorry, like, it sucks. I feel bad for Becton because it wasn't his fault he got hurt. And it's not really his fault that he couldn't come back. I don't think. Like, if he couldn't run and he just ballooned up in weight, like, he's just kind of a big guy. Like, it just happens. Now, if he's not working out and he's lazy and he cares more about video games than he cares about rehabbing, which I don't believe is true. If he's playing video games, it's 11 o'clock at night. He shouldn't be working out right now. I'm sorry. Let the dude enjoy time. His time off. He's unplugged. I hope he's angry. I want him fired up because if you thought you saw an aggressive Mekhi Becton year 1, just wait till he has an understanding of the NFL and he starts throwing dudes. This is going to be a scary good offensive line if Becton can stay healthy and kind of take off where he was at the end of year 1. He's got all the talent in the world. Matthew Wright. Thank you for the super chat, dude. Says, any more free agents? Maybe a small one. Like, I could see them re-signing Keelan Cole for a year. I like Keelan Cole a lot. When we signed him last year, it was 1 year, $5.5 million or $6 million. He's someone that I think is a glue guy. You have him in the locker room. He makes it fun to come to work. There's guys like that I work with that, like, maybe I shouldn't say that I work with, but that I have worked with. There's people that I've interacted with that may not be the best at a job or maybe the best at a certain situation that you're going through, but they're just a great person to be around, and it makes your time so much easier to be at work, and maybe you get more effort out of everyone else because of it. There are those weird type of intricacies that happen in the NFL and in team sports in general. You have guys that are willing to pal around and have fun like that. There is some value to that. I don't know how to put a money sign on it, but there is some value to it. And then you say Sauce at 4, D end at 10, wide receiver at 35, safety at 38. Dude, that's exactly where I'm at. I think that's where the value is. I think you get the best corner in Sauce. I think you get, there's probably potentially a 5-way tie or 4-way tie for like second best edge. And I think you could get that person at 10. I like receiver. If you can get Pickens at 35 or Watson at 35, like Pickens was considered the best receiver in this class prior to his injury before the season. So you're getting like a top 10 pick at 35. Yup. And then safety at 38. From the combine and everything that I'm seeing, it looks like that's the sweet spot to go safety. So I like that move. Let's see. Do this one, then we'll wrap it all up. Michael Rivera drops in with Super Chat. It says, Sauce at 4, Karlaftis at 10. Wide receiver back-to-back 35 and 38. Yeah, could you imagine going like Pickens and Watson? That'd be wild. I don't think they do that. I think there's enough holes where you could probably spread this out a bit. That would be cool, though. But then what does that tell you about like Elijah Moore? Does that tell you anything? Or about Corey Davis? Like, hey, Corey Davis, like, sorry, like you're basically like out in a year. Maybe that's kind of where they are. I wouldn't like to see that. I'd like to see one high-drafted wide receiver and then like a depth guy. Because I think we have a really cool dynamic going on right now, and I think guys would welcome in the addition of a top wide receiver at that 35 pick. All right. Let's wrap this back up. So my thoughts on Tyreek Hill. I think the Jets drove up the price. I think Tyreek benefited from driving up the price. I think the Jets benefited from driving up the price. I think the Chiefs benefited from driving up the price. I think Tyreek was never going to sign a contract with the New York Jets, which means that trade was never going to happen. And I think the Miami Dolphins gave up a 4-year, $120 million contract, and Joe Douglas, while not trading, made the Fins look foolish. But now we have to wind up going against Tyreek Hill for the next at least 4 years. That I'm not looking forward to, and it could cause us a lot of headaches. But I'm all right. I trust Joe Douglas. I trust where this team is going. I think there's going to be a lot more interesting stuff that happens this offseason, particularly in the NFL draft. And you guys better be hanging out with us on draft night. Myself, O'Leary, and Greenbean are going live all 3 days of the draft, and we've got a laundry list of people coming on. It's going to be bonkers. It's going to be absolutely wild. So, guys, it's been a lot of fun. Thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight. My name's Ryan. This has been Jets Talk. Signing off. Jets.